So we're going to call the meeting of the Woodbury Select Board to order on Monday, November 10th, 2025 at exactly 6 p.m. We've got a super full agenda tonight, so I'm going to move folks along. So please don't think I'm being rude if I suggest we start to wrap things up. The first thing is adjustments to the Select Board agenda. So the only thing, and John, I'm not sure, the RFP for the town report, that's a pretty quick one, right?
I hope so.
Okay, you had suggested moving it to the treasurer's report, but that's just a couple
Yeah,
minutes?
up to you, but yeah.
Okay, let's do that and get that into the treasurer's report as well. And then we can hopefully give Brian Voigt and Nikki Sabato a little bit more time if need be. No other amendments or adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to approving the minutes from October 27th and November 3rd.
Well, I guess I'll make a motion that we approve and sign these minutes from October 27th and the special meeting we had on November 3rd.
All right. Is there any discussion?
I just did this one a little while ago, so you might not
I
have
saw
read
it.
it yet, but okay.
I did.
It's short.
Yeah, it didn't take me very long. Since there's no discussion, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you. Public comment. And Mary Jo, you're on the agenda, so that I think we'll move on unless you have any other public comment that you'd like to make. You can say no if you want. You're on the agenda later,
Yes,
so yeah, perfect. Yeah,
I was confused. I am on the.
great. Hi, Bonnie. All right. And no public comment, so we'll move on to Robin's Town Clerk report.
Okay, I have an access permit for Carol Ray. Elfie has signed it, so now it's for the select board to sign.
Is this for the curb cut?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, it's signed by Alfred, so we will be agreed.
Alright. Well, if it's all right with Alfie, I guess.
Thanks, Robin.
And then the next thing, I got this one from Ron Wells, the head lister, for errors and omissions in the grand list, that he would also like you guys to sign, please.
Okay. Okay.
These are like, if somebody's duplicated, they're,
Just, yeah,
Yeah, stuff like
little
that.
changes that they sometimes have to make.
thank you.
And we got a letter today from our attorney, Terry Gillis, is it Shin? That their hourly rates are going up.
From what?
Convenient time.
So, for effective January 1st of 2025, attorney's fees will now be $215 for general counsel work and $265 for non-general counsel work, including litigation special projects. Law clerks, paralegal will increase to $165, and the administrative staff will stay at $150 per hour.
Do you know what they were before?
It does not tell me on here.
All right.
I'll check it out and I'll
Well,
send you.
we'll be getting a bill pretty soon, so.
Yep.
You'll
And
know.
the chimney has been capped at the office.
Awesome.
And I also got an email from Brandy that's with the Vermont Department of Labor. And they have a new job link posting out there that any Vermont employer can post jobs free of charge.
Huh.
So that's another one we can use on top of Front Porch Forum and,
Yeah,
For like the driver we're advertising
Yes.
for right now.
yeah. I
Alright.
just put our road crew application, or, yeah, announcement on Front Porch Forum today.
Saw
and that looks like it's what I have for you guys tonight.
Gee.
Thanks, Robin. Lily, thanks for the treasurer's report. You're up next.
Great. Did either you or Diana get to have a peek at it this weekend?
I looked at it before the meeting today.
I looked at it today.
Okay. I'll be able to summarize then a little bit. Okay, so current tax revenue collected to date is $3,125,502.95. We have an estimated delinquent tax of $243,322.
Did you have an extra copy of this because Lizzie's not here that you could give to Michael?
I have it digitally.
Oh, okay.
We sent it to
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Originally I thought that this number would go down a little bit, this delinquency number would go down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get any postmark checks in the mail starting today, so I'm
Okay.
assuming this is probably going to be
That's
where it's
probably
at.
it.
This seems to be slightly above normal range for delinquencies each year, which I think we anticipated with the increase this year. And I will be closing out the tax year this week. Moving on to our October financial report. General fund looks very high right now on this report. In the check warrant, you'll see the 2 checks for the education tax, which is about 2.3 million. Once these checks are delivered, I will transfer the 605,000. Yeah, my numbers today, I swear. 605,562 to the highway fund, and then the 90,000 owed to the HERF fund. So those fund balances will balance out, and it'll be reflected more on the November report. Chris, just following up from last meeting, you had asked about the tax anticipation note and if we were expecting to use it. I'll be able to give you a more clear report after these are transferred and I do some calculations for next meeting.
So basically, we'll know what we have left in the general fund
Yes.
for after. Yep, got it.
So looking at budgets versus actuals, there's a couple things that I want to point out to you guys. On page 3 of the budget versus actual report, you'll see a highlighted item line for liability insurance. Hopefully you guys reach that.
What page is that on?
Yeah.
3.
3?
Mhm.
1, 2. Okay.
All right, so that budget for the year is 17,000. We're at 15,000 and some change right now, so that's pretty hefty increase. And then also looking on page 5, this is the highways portion of our workers' comp and liability coverage. Wait till you guys reach that. You'll also see towards the bottom 2 item lines highlighted. Our budget is 11,000 for each of these, and we're at or just about below that full year budget half the year in.
Is that because partly due to the fact that we pay a lot of it in one chunk, you know, like?
Well, yes and no. More so no. We have 4 quarterly payments. We've made it through 2, and we're just about at our FY20.
Wow, why would I know? Wow.
And is that, I think I saw in the beginning of your report, you said that they recommend budgeting at about a 5% increase a year?
Yes.
And did we do that last year, do you know?
I'm not positive
Okay.
if that was done last year. I think I came to one budget meeting right before I was appointed. And
Okay.
to be completely honest, I was a bit lost.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll go quickly over kind of some reasons for this increase. Property and casualty claims increased every 5 years, Passive does a reassessment of our properties and usually increases it. This happened last year. We've had a few workers' comp claims over the past couple of years that increased it, and then again, Passive adds about 5%. I think it was 2.5 to workers' comp and about 3% to property and casualty insurance each year. So that's something that we can budget for in December. We're also receiving new quarterly payments for our insurance December 1st. So that'll show us what our payments will be for the next 4 quarters.
Okay.
I'm having Passive pull a workers' comp review, just as good measure to see if there's any trends, any safety issues that we've been experiencing that we could work on or fix. They also noticed that we cover all the material in the school building. They said that this was odd. Most municipalities don't do this, and the school district has its own insurance for what's inside the building. Do you guys know was that an active choice that we made?
That's
no
something
idea.
that we shouldn't be paying, I think, from my memories of the lease, that, we're basically paying for the building,
Okay.
not for the stuff inside. We
Okay.
shouldn't be paying for that.
Okay, well, we currently have insurance on the things inside, according to Passive and the representative that I spoke with. So I'll talk to the school district, I'll confirm, and then I'll
Thank you.
meet with Passive for that. We also charge the school building for, or the school district for insurance each year, so that'll kind of help offset this overage, but it won't fix it, unfortunately. Any questions on that before I move on?
So is this like something that all municipalities are experiencing, like an increase in that, or is it because we've had claims
A
that?
little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. They saw salaries increase quite a bit across the board for all municipalities, and I believe property coverage increase across municipalities as well. So a little bit of both. Yeah. Moving on to highway. If you go to page 6. You'll see a highlighted item line for the Truck 6 2019 low pro. It's about 14,000, or about 11,000, 12,000 over what our budget was for the year. The reason for this is we're no longer covered under our warranty. A lot of maintenance and repairs were noticed during annual inspection, and so the town kind of had to eat that cost. After speaking with Alfie about it, he recommended that we pay attention to the vehicles in our fleet that are getting older or warranties have run out, and potentially beefing up that item line budget moving forward, just so we can be more prepared.
So repairs for this year were close to 15 grand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Any questions for that? That's the gist of the 2 issues that I've seen on our budget so far.
None from me.
Okay.
Thanks though.
Diana, anything?
No.
Okay. Quick stuff. I started the VLCT Municipal Treasurer's course. So I will be remote the first Thursday of each month from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. to attend this course. It's online. We don't necessarily have a space in the office to give my full attention to it, so I'll be remote for that. And then I'm going to skip down to number 6. I want to talk about scheduling a budget meeting in December. I know this is usually the time that we do it. I know that there's usually more than one, so I want to get the first meeting on the docket. Hoping for something maybe the second week in December.
So,
Like the
let's
week
see,
of the 8th?
December, we'll have a meeting, regular meeting on the 8th.
Okay.
And so we could either do something on
Try something on
the
the 11th.
previous week, the
Maybe a Tuesday afternoon, on the 9th, or is that that's too close? Too close?
You got two working
They
select board
don't,
members.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
they don't.
It's getting,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
I mean, it's getting dark earlier, so I can be back 5:30 or so.
So you wanna pick a Monday that's not a meeting night, or?
Does that have to be a Monday, or?
No.
Like, what if we do like
No,
the
it's
11th? What if we do the 11th?
11th is
It's
a
Thursday.
Thursday, that'd be fine.
Yeah, does that work for you, Leah?
11th should work for me.
Yeah, and is 5:30 okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Putting it in right now. 30. Great. And then before we move on from that, is there anything that you guys are used to getting at these budget meetings from the treasurer that I should be aware about? I talked to Brandy earlier. She said bring financial reports. But I just wanted to touch base with you and see if there was anything specific.
Yeah, she used to be able to print out, last year, this year so far, this year's budget, and then an empty column that we could fill in,
Okay,
something like that.
okay.
So, like a
Paper
worksheet.
copy, Excel, paper
Yeah,
copy?
paper
Okay.
copy.
Okay, great. And then moving on, John, if you wanna take over with the RFP?
Sure. So, probably at your last page, down the report printer.
Okay, here we go. Yep.
Oh,
Of the
the last page
treasurer's
of,
report.
oh, okay, yeah.
So, the numbers are pretty clear cut. The printer we use now, is, the next printer up is 65% more. So we got 3 bids. The bid from Repro, which we use now, is $25.77 a year if we go for a 3-year. The next one up is Brown's, which is $4,200, and then Accurate Printing, which used to be Modern and Berry, is $4,800. So it's not even close. And Repro Printing, which has done our report for 4 years, does a good job. They were the only ones that did a bid for more than 1 year. And if you go with the 3-year contract, it's 6.7% less, a savings of 6.7%. So since we gotta have a town report, that seems like a smart thing to do, go ahead and go with the 3-year thing. Wanna point out one thing that, if you look at this, which is got the bids. If you look at the first sheet is their the bid that they submitted. If you look at the bottom, it says where I've circled it in green, it says 2450 there instead of the 2577 that I have on the sheet. They made a mistake there. If you look at the second sheet. They sent a contract before we even did the RFP. We wouldn't have even known that we needed to do an RFP if they hadn't sent this to us. They based it on 72 pages, which you can see circled up at the top. When they submitted the bid for 80 pages, they changed the page number, but they forgot to change the price.
Flip?
I contacted them. It was clearly a mistake. They felt they were stuck because they submitted a bid.
That's nice.
It's not worth, I mean, it's important to have goodwill with the printer. We called the printer at 9 o'clock after deadline last year and said, we have a financial page that's on, can you pull it? So the right thing to do is just to correct that. And the other 2 pages have the actual bids from the others, which are the same amounts as what I have. And that's it.
Right.
And I have a suggested motion there.
I don't really think we have to approve this, but if you want it, I would make a motion that we approve your choice of bidder for the town report.
For 3 years, contract for 3 years.
So I've
Repro.
got a suggested motion written on that page there, if you want it.
You wanna read that, or you want me to read it, Diana?
Do it all in.
I'll make a motion that the town contract with Repro Printing, which submitted the lowest cost bid and is the town's current printer, to print the town report for the next 3 years at $2,577 per year for 550 copies of an 80-page report and as otherwise specified in its contract. Is there discussion?
Where's that?
It's right here.
I don't know what page you're on.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, John.
Great, I'll just give this to Lily for you to sign later.
Okay, or we can
Oh.
probably sign it now or
Alright.
real quick.
Yep.
So you just need to cross out that number. And write in that number.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a talk about land use.
Today is the 10th.
10th, yeah.
25.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
All right. Does that wrap up the treasurer's report?
Yep.
Great. We will move on to our 6:25. I had a schedule. Agenda item, and Mary Jo Llewellyn is here, and it's offering to discuss the subject of the integrity of the Town Hall Foundation and potential to cut back the granite steps. Thank you for coming.
Sure. For those who don't know me, I'm an architectural historian, so I do a lot of work for those things. About 2022, Jan Lopodowski, who's a timber framer, did a Preservation Trust of Vermont technical report on the building. We mostly wanted Jan to look at the frame. And it's hard to see the frame on the roof because it's all insulated. But he made two recommendations that haven't been addressed yet, and I'm concerned. One is that the granite steps, which are beautiful, abut up against the wooden wall. And Rick Cannon and I went today, and Rick went all the way under the building and then went partway under. There is some deterioration in the front sill. You can poke it with a knife from the front, and Rick was under the building and poking it. What's happening is that because the granite is virtually touching the wood can't breathe, there's no air in there, it can't dry out, so it rots. Jan said this in his report back in '22, I believe it was, and nothing's happening. The second thing that Jan noted in his report, and Rick and I saw plenty of evidence of today, is something called powder post beetles, which are little bugs that bore into the wood, lay eggs, and it's the larvae that do the damage because they eat the wood until they mature and leave the piece of wood. Powder post beetles need high moisture content to do well. Underneath that building, when did it get listed up? Did anybody know when the foundation got changed? So each corner of the building is on an L-shaped corner pier. It's poured concrete, and then there are probably 4 piers along the eave elevations and interior piers holding up the framing members. The underneath of the building has sort of been excavated, so the low place is in the middle. The water comes off the eave elevations, the flat sides, down into the ditch that is wide open. It's probably good for air circulation, but it also allows tons of water to get under the building, and there's no way to doubt it. The beetles are gonna thrive. The evidence of these beetles is a sawdusty sort of debris on the wood that is resulting in eating the wood. It's called frass, F-R-A-S-S. So I was talking to Diana, and I just said, these are 2 issues that the longer they are not dealt with, the worse they will become. And if that front sill fails, it's gonna be really difficult to get at it because of the granite and the access underneath the building. So I'm just want to issue an alarm. It's a very wonderful building and it needs some attention. That's what I have to say.
Did you have a recommendation for Jan Lewandowski?
Yeah,
Lewandowski?
Jan made a comment that his suggestion, I should say, was to take off the lower clapboards and put a piece of flashing under them, and then to bring the flashing out onto the granite. which to me would be really dangerous because it's gonna just put water there and it'll become very slick. Ricky and I were thinking today that, Rick Cannon, that, if you remove all the wood up to about 3 feet above the granite and flash back there, even galvanized material, all the way down to the concrete wall, and then you could put wood back over that, just cosmetically.
What do you mean all the way down to the concrete wall?
Well, the front of the building is held on a concrete wall,
Oh,
on a
okay.
wall,
Oh,
all the way across, and then it turns the 2 front corners. And
oh,
then along the eave elevations, there's just the piers.
yeah,
And in the back, there are 2 L-shaped corners, and the back is open.
oh,
But the front is supported on it, it's not concrete block, it's poured.
oh,
So if it were flashed all the way down to below, so that the flashing covered the top of the concrete, at least would protect the frame, which is more important than the clapboards.
so there's like a timber or something, I don't know what you call it, a big
Beam.
a beam, yeah, okay.
It's the sill.
The sill,
Bottom is the
on the
sill.
front, and the sill sits on this concrete wall?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
what's under that sill on concrete, I don't know, because that's a bad deal too. The Vermont State House is on slate, because slate is, water doesn't go through slate.
Uh-huh.
That's the moisture barrier at the State House. Perhaps when the work was done at the town hall, somebody thought to put a moisture barrier between the top of the concrete wall and the sill, but we couldn't tell. But, wood needs to dry out and it can't. So, I know what it took to get under there today, and to do work in there would be really, really difficult. There,
So there was talk at one time when we had that little committee a few years ago
yeah,
about cutting the granite back, by a few inches, and then you'd have to put some kind of a grate or something in there.
yeah.
But if this sounds like more doable.
Rick and I were
Flash
talking
it.
about the cutting of the granite, and I know I talked with Jan about it as well. That would be wicked expensive.
Yeah,
And the granite is probably sort of a veneer on top of a concrete form. That looks like steps, and then the granite is put on it because it's beautiful. There's no harm in asking, is it Swenson who would do that?
no, there's a company in Barry that does stuff like that.
Okay. But I don't know what they're gonna find when they're gonna hit concrete probably.
Well, the company I'm thinking of is the one that put the steps in, so they would have some recollection, but if there's a better, easier, cheaper solution,
Well,
that's a good idea.
excuse me, the better solution would be getting the granite away from the building. But, that's gonna be really hard and expensive, it's worth an ask,
Yeah.
what it would cost. But,
So you thought, can I interrupt just quickly?
Sure.
You thought you would be able to flash down between the granite and the building
that's what we're.
without having to remove the granite to do so?
Maybe.
Maybe,
Because if you
yeah.
look at where the joint between the granite and the wall is not consistent. Up against the door sills, we stuck a knife down there, it's really tight. Of course, the sills are swollen, the threshold. Further on down toward where the planter was, where it's really rotten back in there, there's probably a gap like that. The north end is tight, so,
Yeah.
things move. I'm concerned that because there's a lot of ifs and no one's exactly sure how to do it, the condition will get to be that it's pretty serious structural concern. Ricky thinks that the sills are 8 by 10s, 10 deep, which is good, it's a lot of wood.
Yeah,
Plus, if there's powder post beetles in there, that's just a whole other, well, there's definitely powder post beetles in the joists, you can see the frass everywhere, all the way along.
how do you deal with them?
You need an exterminating company, you don't necessarily mean the exterminator, but, somebody does that. There are products called borates. They're pretty non-toxic. I do believe the state requires that they be applied by a licensed applicator. It's basically 20-multene borax, that, so it's fairly benign. It can't be applied to a painted surface, but where we could see the frasses all along the joists. So, can't be done in the cold weather. You need to the beetles aren't active now. You need to do it in the warm weather. There are the guy in Hardwick, the exterminator, I think, isn't that what his name is?
Yeah.
And there's other companies do it as well.
So Diana, you said you know who the company is that built the steps?
Yeah, I think it's Granite Industries of
Okay.
Vermont.
Mary Jo, do you think those joists are the original? I mean, they're just logs, basically. Yeah, they aren't cut.
Probably, could well be. They are pretty consistently logs.
Yeah.
I was under the back end of it.
Yeah.
And I asked Rick what he thought, and he thought that they were, it'd be really nice to put that building back on some better foundation. The draft under there is, as you guys know better than anybody probably, it's really cold. But a damp crawl space like that is guaranteed to do harm. So, it's a beautiful building, and
So Mary Jo and I were talking about this. We've talked about it a couple of times over the years, and we're hoping that by having her come to the meeting and talk to us about it, maybe somebody out in there in public land would decide that this was a really good project for them to take on. You know, you never know.
well, I've been talking to Diana for 5 years about whatever it is.
And here we are.
And so I decided to, Diana said, talk to more people. So that's why I
Right.
came.
Yeah, thank you.
Perhaps we can at least start to get an idea of how those front steps are built, and maybe if we talk to that company.
Well, don't
We
you
could-
assume it's a concrete form underneath there?
I guess so, but it sounds like, I guess I think it would be wise of us to try to figure out some sort of cost to repair this, and maybe that would be the first step, figuring out how that was built, and so that we could budget for repair on this.
But, yeah, well, okay, I mean, that's one option, but the flashing option is a totally different option that could be done without the expense of cutting the granite.
I guess I thought I heard that in some places it would be very difficult to get the flashing down behind the granite.
It
Am I right?
probably would.
Yeah.
But, there's not much space.
Yeah.
Next time it's light outside, go look at it.
Right.
It's pretty tight. And then the drainage along the eave elevations is terrible. It's just water pours in there.
And it, yeah, all of the nice vegetation, the daylilies that Wendy Silk put in there years ago, got washed away, and a lot of the dirt around the piers got washed away during the flood. It'd be nice to have that fixed too. Now, next year, the next building, the old fire station, is going to be taken down, so that might be a good time to start, doing some digging around and looking around, and
What's gonna go where the fire station is?
nothing. Now, it's a FEMA buyout, so nothing is allowed to go on there.
Oh,
Has to be a green space.
We own the land up to between the south side of the town hall and the fire department. We own that, so we can do whatever we want in there, but the rest of it is FEMA buyout, so we can't do anything there. Can't build anything. Anyways, because there'll be a lot of destruction and going on.
well, it would be interesting to try to figure out how to, ideally, land should slope away from a building. So when water comes off the roof, it goes this way. At the town hall, it goes this way. You could put gutters up, gutters in Vermont are what they are. but that's probably what I saw today, because I'm sure flood related, I sort of forgot that. And the low place under the building is sort of right in the middle, and it's a little higher in the back, and it's much higher in the front, so I don't think it can drain very well.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of water, a lot of dirt that washed away in 2023. Oh, under there.
So can I recommend that possibly start to look at see if we can collect some information and get some estimates together so we could budget for something like this and keep it on the radar?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing something for the Green Mountain Club, which is a wooden building, but it was a similar issue with a deck right up against a log building, and what we did was back the deck up 6 feet and put a piece of metal grid in there. But you can't do that. That was a wooden deck, not a granite
Yeah,
mountain.
it's a
So-
big deal to move those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky said pick it up and move the building back. Move the church.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
I'd like to see it moved.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well,
Okay.
Diana knows that I will. Diana knows that I'm interested in this.
Right,
And I can,
we hope you're not the only one.
and in terms of the beetle issue with Lawrence, I will look in my notes. So I was involved in a project with Forest Parks, we had to use borates in a CCC building. I learned a lot. So, that's what I know.
All right. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Drive safely, everybody.
Yeah, you too. It's ugly out there.
Have a good winter.
Thank you.
You're leaving in a couple weeks? No.
Yeah,
Well,
but I'm available.
okay, all right, yeah.
Okay.
They still have Wi-Fi in Idaho, or is it
Oh, it's
Utah?
much better than here
Idaho.
because
What?
it's great there.
Oh,
It's all kind of like above, it's in the mountains, no, in the flat, it's fine.
okay. All right,
Easy. All right, thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to Bonnie Collins is here to discuss the Listers report for the town report.
Yes, so I wanted to speak with the, select board and members of the town regarding notifying, residents about the upcoming reappraisal, townwide reappraisal that's coming up. That being said, we just got news on Saturday that Nemrick, who we've contracted with to do our reappraisal, is not going to be starting until 2028.
What?
Cool. So we're now 2 years
Oh.
delayed.
Thank
Oh, oh,
So that basically means we'll be, when it does start in 2028, we'll be 21 years since our last one. So, I'm not sure if it still applies to this year's town report, maybe not. But maybe enough people are already, let's say, calling the town clerk, asking questions. The word is out, Ron tells everybody that we see, it's coming. So I thought I would take of making frequently asked questions about the reappraisal, which covers why it's happening, who's paying for it, why then their taxes are gonna go up, do they have to let people in, can they appeal their values, that kind of thing. So I made a draft of what I think we should put in the town report as a heads up. And it might be also good to have on our website. There's a link that I found directly at the state website, which gives you every answer you could possibly think of to ask.
Oh.
And if people can go to our website and make a click, we're not gonna get tons of phone calls.
Oh,
You wanna take
okay.
one of these and pass it around. These are just the frequently asked questions I found by looking at a dozen other towns,
Nice.
including Shaftesbury, who has the best website. They actually have a whole page on their website about the appraisal. And so I got a lot of questions off their website. and then the Department of Taxes and the PBR website. So
Oh.
these are the most frequently asked questions. Anybody thinks of anything else that we should include, let me know, because again, this is just a draft.
I've got it for a future agenda item. So we'll look at it and
Okay, perfect.
next time we meet, we'll,
So the good news and the bad news is we're put off a couple of years, but I think the faster we get the news out to people, the better. Remind them every year until it happens.
thank you for doing it.
So what's the name of the person in Callis who works for NIMREC who was gonna do the work? He contacted
He
you?
contacted us on Saturday, we were in the office, and we got this email, and it said, by the way, Town of Woodbury, I'm not gonna be able to start your work until 2028.
Wow.
We immediately wrote back, which we kept
Yeah.
for records, because we immediately wrote back and said, wait,
Yeah,
it's been 21 years, if you're saying that it's gonna be 21 years, our CLA is currently like 73 or whatever percent.
yeah.
And it's been that way for years and years and years, and we're in the brown on your maps of everything on your site, so can we please be prioritized? And he kind of wrote back in one sentence that was kind of like, so sad. Like, it's that way across the board.
Right.
Everyone it's taking longer, and they're short-staffed. And so that's we'll just keep asking.
Yeah, I mean, there could be other,
Can't hurt.
there
And if
could,
it goes faster and the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so I'll keep after them, we'll just keep, bugging them every 6 months. Hey, how's it going? Hey.
maybe all those other, I mean, there's a whole
Maybe
list of other people who could have bid if they knew it was gonna be
Right.
so far out, but
So,
they didn't.
I don't know, but that's just food for thought. And
Yeah.
all this is food for thought. So
Great,
anyway, get in touch if you have any more questions.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Nice.
So, moving on, I'd like to welcome Brian Voigt, here to discuss the regional future land use mapping. I don't know if you want to give us a little bit of background, especially for the folks that on the TV.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, hi folks, I'm Brian Voigt, Senior Planner and Program Manager at the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. Thanks so much for making time on your very packed agenda for me to come out here tonight. I'm going to give a little background on the Act 181 and then talk about what we as the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission are doing to sort of meet our mandate and how you can play a role if you so choose. So in 2024, the Vermont State Legislature passed Act 181, which updated Act 250, Vermont's statewide land use permitting law. And the Act 181 created what's known as a tiered framework for location-based land use jurisdiction. A whole bunch of words that I'll spend the next few minutes trying to explain. As part of the Act 181, the legislature required regional planning commissions to develop a future land use map. So this is something we already did as part of our regional planning process, much the same way that you've done for your municipal plan looking forward. But what's different about this time around is that the legislature tasked the regional planning commissions with coming up with a consistent methodology that could be applied statewide, and I'll talk a little bit about how that played out. So the work on the future land use map is ongoing, and we hope to have a draft map in December that we'll share out with folks, and then submit sometime in the spring of 2026 along with our updated regional plan. And we submit that to the Land Use Review Board. So that's another piece that's slightly different. In the past, the Land Use Review Board didn't exist, but now when regional planning commissions update their regional plans, we pass that information to the review board, and they ensure that our regional plans meet all of the statutory requirements of the various land use related legislations. So, as I mentioned, Act 181 shifted Act 250's jurisdiction from being triggered by just by the size of the development to being location-based. And it's got, this framework includes tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3, as well as land use classes. And I'll talk about the distinction between the tiers and the land use classes here over the next couple of minutes. So there's, as I mentioned, 3 tiers, tiers 1, 2, and 3. Tier 1 is further subdivided into a 1A and a 1B, and these are areas that have significant capacity for growth. Tier 1A, which is probably less relevant to Woodbury, will have a full Act 250 exemption for all of development in that area that's designated as Tier 1A, while Tier 1B has an exemption for up to 50 units exempt from Act 250, and anything beyond a 50 unit development would then trigger an Act 250 proceeding. Tier 2 is essentially the status quo. You could think of our status today. Every community is a Tier 2 community. It's basically won't change the way that Act 250 is implemented. And then lastly, Tier 3 identifies these critical natural resource areas from a statewide perspective. The Tier 3 areas are being developed by the Agency of Natural Resources and the Land Use Review Board. And those areas designated as Tier 3 will trigger a review, an Act 250 review at a lower development threshold. So, as I mentioned, the legislation mandated that regional planning commissions develop these regional future land use maps. They wanted us to standardize these throughout the state. And so one of the things that the regional planning commissions did was to develop a methodology that would be applied statewide within our individual regions that make this connection between the land use designation and the types of data that we should use to identify where those places fall on the landscape. So I mentioned there are multiple classes of future land use, distinguishing those from the tiers, and we can group those into roughly 3 separate sections: high density, low to moderate density, and the rural areas. So really the intent of Act 181 is to simplify development, it's to encourage development in the village centers and areas that either have infrastructure or soil suitable for accommodating more dense development. So in that high density growth area, we're talking about village centers, designated downtowns, planned growth areas, village areas. And so again, all of these, I mean, there are nuances to each of those classes, but the intent really is that these locations will accommodate a substantial amount of the future growth, both within our municipalities of the region. In terms of low to moderate density, we have classes like transition infill areas. So these are areas that maybe don't have a lot of development now, but have been designated as areas that the municipalities would like to see developed as a priority. So they're typically adjacent to existing developed areas, and you can think of those as just an expansion of areas that have existing development. Resource-based recreation areas are these large-scale resource-based facilities that, for example, concentrated trail networks, lake shores, ski resorts, where both the resource is used for recreation purpose, but it's also driving some type of economic activity. So it could be a rental shop, it could be second homes, or other types of commercial development related to the amenity. Enterprise areas have high economic activity and employment, and these are locations like natural resource extraction or industrial parks. And then lastly, in this low to moderate density, is the hamlet class. So hamlets really are situated at major crossroads. They don't have the level of development of a village center. They're maybe not slated for a lot of future development, but they carry some historical significance, for example, within the municipality. And then lastly, we've got the rural areas, so the lowest density of the development, and there are 3 different classes here. So rural general, you can think of this as basically your ag-res district, most likely your ag-res district in your current zoning bylaws. There's an ag and forestry class, so this will most typically be the lands that are working lands, either enrolled in the current use program or not. And then lastly, rural conservation. So these are areas of significant natural resources, but in contrast with the tier 3 locations, these are more significant at the municipal to regional scale. And then just a couple last things in closing here. This future land use map is an aspirational document, and so it's something that we put together now, but nothing is set in stone. It can change over time. It's also not a zoning map. It doesn't take the place of your zoning districts, and it doesn't tell you what happens in your zoning bylaws. So it doesn't dictate development, but it may dictate the type of permitting you need to take on in order to develop. The state designation program is set to sunset at the end of next year, I believe. They're no longer taking applications as of, well, maybe last month or sometime this month. But the program doesn't totally go away. So basically your village center designation will be transferred to the future land use map. Any of the benefits that you currently receive under these state designation programs will still be conveyed in the future based, again, instead of on the state designation, it will be based on the future land use class for that.
So towns that have gone through the whole process of getting a downtown designation, that's gonna just go away?
The name is gonna go away. The benefit program does not go away.
Well, we never went there, so
As I mentioned, the tier 3 locations lower the jurisdictional threshold. So basically, it will trigger an Act 250 review at a lower level of development. There's been a lot of concern about the tier 3 designation, both from residents, but also from regional planning commissions. Just the process has been a little opaque at times, I will say. The current draft of the tier 3 designation represents about 6.5% to 7% of the state. I don't have that number for Woodbury or for the region, but generally speaking, those tier 3 areas are distributed throughout the state. And then the last thing I'll mention is the change to the road rule. So the road rule going forward, a private road serving a single residential development, if it exceeds 800 feet in length, will trigger an Act 250 hearing.
So you're saying a road that serves a single residence is no longer considered a driveway?
No, that's not what he said.
No, I thought that's what, so I thought you said that would be a
I mean,
road.
it's road and driveway combined. So, I mean, if you have a road that serves a single residence, it's a road or a driveway, either way. If
Pretty significant difference when it comes to regulation. But
talk to your legislator. I'm just spreading the joy. And if you have a private road and driveway serving multiple residential properties, the length for all those roads and driveways combined, again, for those would be 2,000 feet. And the road rule itself only applies to the tier 2 and tier 3 designations. So again, definitely some changes on the horizon. There's still quite a bit of materials to be developed by the Land Use Review Board in terms of what, for example, that road rule looks like, what the notification process looks like, as they roll out the tier 3 rulemaking process and say these are the tier 3 areas. Once again, that notification process and whose responsibility it is to contact landowners. Those are all things that remain to be seen. I wish I had answers. I'm sure those are the most common questions folks are thinking about, among others. You know, I'm telling you what I know. I'm happy to come back and talk more about this, continue to share out this information as it becomes available.
So the regional planning commissions had to work together, like as a group, to come up with some of this stuff? How do you do that?
So the legislation specified the different land use classes, and the regional planning commissions, really VAPTA, the Vermont Association of Planning and Development Agencies, which is sort of our umbrella organization, was tasked with, well, how do I identify what a rural general versus a village center versus a designated downtown? And so it specifies the data sets to look at, and then how we apply that data to basically draw the polygons on the map for those various classes.
So what about forest blocks? Tell us about forest blocks. So, I mean, there's some designation called forest blocks. I mean, we've got blocks of forest, you know, thousands and thousands of acres in Woodbury.
Yep.
I don't know whether certain sections of those become forest blocks or.
It is my suspicion that a portion of those will be designated as tier 3 areas. And more generally speaking, the forest blocks would fall under one of those 3 rural classes, the general, the ag and forestry, or conservation, depending on whether the land is enrolled in the current use program, whether there's already existing permits for development in those locations, things like that. So the forest blocks stay there, but forest blocks is not a land use class. They would fall into either one of the 3 rural classes, most likely.
A good part of Woodbury's forest blocks are also considered wildlife corridors, so I would imagine that they would be tier 3.
I wasn't gonna bring up the corridor thing, but.
Well,
that is really, I mean, that's really what they're trying to capture with the tier 3. Originally, they started looking at, the legislature and the Land Use Review Board started looking at about, I think, 15 to 17 different potential factors in designating tier 3 area. And if they looked at all those in aggregate, it was about 75% of the state, and they decided obviously that was not going to work. And so they refined that to really dial it back to sort of what are the most important natural resource features that they're really trying to protect through this effort, and wildlife corridors is certainly one of those that has risen to the top.
And there's some scientific basis to designating these wildlife corridors?
oh yeah, Fish and Wildlife pretty much oversees that. And they've been talking about it for 20 years or more. I mean, they first talked to the Conservation Commission here in town at least 20 years ago, I think.
So I have a question for you, sir. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Of course, Carol, go ahead.
Not up to me.
Will you answer?
Also not up to me.
So if only residents on a town highway, where does that fall into this land thing? I'm backing up the bus a little bit. If there's only one residence on a town highway, 200 feet,
It's
2,000
my
feet?
21st municipality I've come to visit to talk about, and no one's asked that question, and honestly I don't have an answer, but I think they're distinguishing the private road and driveway from the town highway in this
Okay.
in this legislation,
Okay,
so I
no-
don't think it has any bearing on that.
Any town highway does not have a bearing, private is, okay.
Correct.
Okay, you think?
I mean, if the town wanted to build an entirely new road, I would guess that the road rule would come into play at some point in that process. But most of our towns are trying to keep up with the roads they have and not necessarily trying to build new ones.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
One.
Yeah, Robin.
How will this affect people that are already in current use?
It will not.
It won't affect them at all?
I mean, not, well, what kind of effect are you thinking?
So the building prospect and all of that will still stay the same?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
so where this could, and sorry, I just need to understand the question a little better. And this is irregardless of whether a property is enrolled in current use. If a property has a tier 3 designation, so it's been identified as having a critical natural resource area, it doesn't matter if you're in current use or not, if you want to develop in that area. And you can develop in tier 3, it's just that threshold for for undergoing the Act 250 process is reduced. So if you're in current use, it would just be one more factor that they consider, just like they already do.
Okay.
But the current, where current use will really come into play is when we're trying to distinguish, we the Regional Planning Commission and you all in your eventual review of the map would be distinguishing between like a rural general and the rural ag and forestry class, or the rural conservation, again, depending on which part of the current use program you're enrolled in. But falling into one of those classes, being designated as one of those classes doesn't imply any sort of heightened level of review.
Okay.
Just like current use, your land is in current use, you may have a timber management plan that says you're gonna harvest wood in one area but not develop over there. It's not gonna change anything about the way that the current use program is implemented.
Okay.
Just one quick question.
Go ahead.
Well, how does the map that you guys are doing interact with the town map that we did when we did our town plan? I mean, which one takes precedence?
It's not that one takes, well, the regional plan, the regional future land use map certainly doesn't take precedence over what's happening at the municipal level. I will look at your map as I'm working on the Woodbury portion of the region, and for the most part, I would say that your future land use map and our future land use map will align pretty closely. Where it will vary is, again, I've got sort of definitions and data that I need to use to assign those particular classes. It's been a while since I've looked at your town plan. I would be surprised if you had 10 different future land use classes on your map. I kind of hope that you don't.
We don't.
Kind of wish that we didn't, but again, that's a conversation for another time. They will reflect one another, and if there is an area where you perceive that there's a conflict, or where I'm really hung up on what the right thing to do is because the data is leading me one way and your map is maybe leading me another way, then we have a conversation about that. The thing about the methodology is that it's really sort of cut and dried for the higher density areas, like our downtowns and our village centers, and mostly cut and dried for the rural conservation, rural ag and forestry, but there is some wiggle room for all those classes in between, and that's a case where I could defer to the municipal future land use map, as long as there's not a real contradiction between what you have designated and the definitions and data that I need to use to develop that. When I take the map and the regional plan to the land use review board, I'm basically telling them I've followed the methodology except for in these places. And the reason I didn't follow the methodology in these places are X, Y, and Z. So it's not absolute, but I have to have a good reason for varying from the methodology because of what the state is trying to accomplish in terms of overall consistency from region to region with the land use classes.
Okay.
So, I guess I hadn't followed this enough for the last couple of years, but did Act 181 did they really realize how much they're expanding jurisdiction because of this tier 3? Oh, you probably don't know that because you're not in the legislature, but it seems like it's gonna be huge.
So I'm not in the legislature. Fortunately, I've managed
You need to hear
avoid many of those deliberations, but yes, I do think they understand this. This is why I made that point of originally the tier 3 designation included potentially up to like 15 or 17 different factors, and they realized that's most of the state. This isn't going to work out. Let's dial that back. The tier 3 designation, while significant, and I don't want to dismiss certainly any landowner concerns around tier 3, where I see the bigger impact is really in the road rule, because that covers basically everywhere in a community like Woodbury, because it only applies to tier 2 and tier 3 locations, again, which would be all of Woodbury, and so that's really where I see maybe a bigger impact. Again, not to dismiss the concerns related to tier 3, but in terms of having Act 250 having a longer reach, I believe that will be applied to the road rule more so than the tier 3. I don't know if that's comforting or makes things worse, but just tell you the way
Yeah,
I
it
see
doesn't,
it.
yeah, it really doesn't happen that often, but I still think people can buy a 10-acre lot and build a long driveway with one house, and that's not, shouldn't trigger that if it's not in the tier 3, but probably will be in the tier 3 if it's anywhere near a road or a corridor.
You're a corridor.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
certainly well away from roads. You're in the middle of a large forest block. I would say the possibility for a tier 3 designation is certainly going to be higher than along the state or town highways, other than places that have been identified as good crossings for wildlife.
Yeah, and another thing that's really, I think is really wrong is, I'm sure you're gonna bring all this back to your committees, but if somebody is in a tier 3 area and based on mapping, and they wanna contest the fact that there's not a wetland there, or there's not a whatever, they have to go out and hire their own expert to contest that, which is really onerous. But anyways, just so you know.
At least there will be a process for contesting.
Yeah.
So not the shiniest of silver linings, but at least my understanding is there would at least be a process for someone to contest that finding.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will. I'll reach back out when the draft map is ready. We'll have an interactive map that folks can look at, click on, provide feedback. I'm also happy to provide a large format paper map for folks if you want to hang it up in the town office and put it around the water cooler and have some fun conversation.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks, all.
appreciate you coming. Yeah.
Next week, there is the League of Cities and Towns is having a Zoom meeting with one of the members of the Land Use Review Board, but unfortunately, I can't make it. But if anybody else is interested, I could see if we could hook you up. 8 to 12, I think it is, Wednesday morning.
It's pretty convenient.
Yeah. That's why I get to do all those good Zoom things.
All right. We have, John's been taken care of. So we can move on to the recovery officer's report.
All right. We passed out my report, and there should be a couple more copies here if people would like to follow along. So it's not much different from the report of October 27th, I believe, except there's good news for the 2024 disaster, and that FEMA and the state of Vermont had a recovery transition meeting, which in essence ends FEMA's involvement in the 2024 disaster. So all that paperwork now falls on the state. And that being said, Woodbury can expect the ERAF funds of about $13,500 in the very near future. So that's good news. I wish I had good news for the 4720 disaster. You know, I don't know if it's because of the new administration, but anyhow, it's status quo in terms of the issue of deobligating the funds that we received. If, in the email excerpts I have in my report, it appears as though from the state's take is that FEMA just want to be sure that all the specifications in the statement of work for the mitigation projects for Town Highway in 23, 24, that all the design features and functions have been met, and that's why they had environmental studies involved at FEMA. So they're still looking at that. And there's been no more correspondence between FEMA and the state or FEMA and myself. You know, I'm on their grants portal every other day just to be sure that they don't need any more information from me. I can't imagine what more information they could possibly need from me. But anyhow, it's status quo. So I would strongly urge the board not to spend any more of that obligated money that's sitting in the treasury until we find out whether or not the deobligation was just a smokescreen or whatever it was. We still don't know. And I talked with Kim Konarecki last week, and she still doesn't know. So it's pretty frustrating, you know, holding what projects we could be utilizing that money for, holding us up with that. But at least they haven't come back to us and said they want to claw back that money, which is a good thing. So, yeah, so just to be sure that I've covered all the bases, I'm in the process of making a timeline out of all the emails I've received regarding Town Highway 23 and Town Highway 24.
Whoa.
Yeah. And because I want to demonstrate to them if they should deobligate these funds that on more than one occasion, FEMA and the state of Vermont told us that they would not deobligate these funds.
And it seems like if they question the fact that, 3 years later, it's a lot cheaper than it was estimated right after the flood. Back then, people were going crazy trying to get their flood
Sure.
repairs done, and things were expensive. And
So if we can recall, Town Highway 23 and 24 actually had a total of 4 projects, 2 of which were temporary projects where Alfie and his crew installed temporary bridges. Then the mitigation projects, the initial estimates were based upon the DeWolf and Sons estimate, and those were probable causes. And several of my emails to FEMA and the state, I emphasized to them that these are probable costs. They're not actual costs. We'll find out actual costs when bids come in. So the difficult part of it is that in order to write for an extension for these 2 projects, which had to be done because the time frame expired to have any work done on these projects, January 14th, 2025. So in December, we wrote for an extension, and the state granted us an extension based upon the estimates from DeWolf. Bids came in January of 2025, and it was like, ooh, we're gonna have some money available. So as soon as I found out what the bids came in at, shot that email to the state. We're gonna have some excess money, this is what it's gonna look like, what can we do with these funds? And if you bear with me for a second, I'll read you this quote. And this is, if you complete the project for less than the federal estimate, and again, the federal estimate was based on DeWolf, you must document and use the excess funds, must use the excess fund for another town road project and keep a record in case of a federal audit. You cannot use these funds for any federally funded project. So that's from the state of Vermont. Use these funds for mitigation projects. And mitigation officer from FEMA said basically the same thing. As long as you use them for mitigation projects, you're fine. And one of the gentlemen from the state of Vermont says FEMA does not deobligate funds. Well, in fact, they can't. as I'm finding out.
We learn something new every day
Yeah,
about what the government can do.
yeah, so it's not surprising, but it's, you know, it's troubling, really. So that being said, I'm in the process of putting together a timeline, you know, who the emails were from, the subjects, and any pertinent statements from the emails. So, status quo for 4720.
Well, it's actually convenient that none of those last two projects came in for anything we
Right,
want
yeah,
to do.
so, you know, and I lined out all the timeline information on the other two projects, because, you know, we can just hold them in our back pocket, and if we get to go ahead for these excess funds, perhaps we can, you know, look at the RFPs and see why no one bid on them, which is
Well.
curious. And,
Well, we did get one for the basement waterproofing,
yeah,
but only one.
And it was outrageous.
well, I didn't see it, so I can't,
Oh, really?
I
No
didn't,
kidding.
no, didn't wanna see it.
Well, there's still some culverts though.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah.
Lily sent me an email Friday that probably is in the ether somewhere, and she resent it tonight, and that has loaded labor rate costs for Alfie and his crew, and I believe a cost for a culvert too.
Yep.
Okay, once I have that information, I'll refresh that Excel spreadsheet that I have, and we can combine the cost of installing those culverts along with the roofing replacements and any other stuff we
I
use.
think that was the last of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so we'll be able to quantify how much we spent and, you know, how much is left over.
Make sure that, yeah.
Yeah,
And in the meantime, say if in January or February, we get some design work from Nate, will we still be able to tap into that? Or-
design work for what? For the two culverts,
Right,
those large
right.
culverts?
Yeah, the
Right.
large culverts that are on the
Yeah,
list.
I don't know, if you, maybe you weren't here last time, but, yeah, Alfie suggested that because it is hard to get design work done, that we should go ahead and do it, even if we don't end up using
Yeah.
FEMA money for
Do the
the actual
design.
I
project.
would do the
Get
design.
behind the design
Yeah.
work at least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
But if it does, if we do get it and there's still money to be spent and it's
Well-
okay, then we'll,
I mean, the design work probably won't cost that much, and hopefully we'll know from Nate very soon what he would estimate that would cost.
Right.
And
I would-
then it probably would be better for the town to come up with that money to it themselves. So,
What I might suggest, and Michael's a safer way, I might say, yeah, tap into the mitigation funds to pay for Nate's engineering costs. And then if FEMA or the state comes to us and says, you know, we want the money back, say, okay, you can have
Okay.
this amount back because these are the mitigation projects that you said we could spend it on. And they could perhaps claw back what's left. But that would be a hedge, so
yeah.
it'd be up to the select board how they wanna do it. But I would not,
Move ahead with that.
I would move ahead
Yeah.
for sure, yeah, because it's gonna have to be done one way or the other.
One way or the other.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, those are two projects that they flooded both times, they've washed the road out
Yep,
substantially. So I think regardless if we can use the mitigation money or not, we should have that design work behind us.
in hand, yeah.
And then we can worry about, you know, figure out the money for the actual installation later, I suppose, if this money does get pulled.
Right.
But I think definitely keep going on the engineering, for sure.
so regarding Nate, I have a conversation kind of tentatively set with him to discuss the engineering for those two culverts and also the cost increases that he might anticipate for the box culvert on Valley Lake Road. So hopefully, by the time you start your budget work, we'll have a sense of what those costs will be. I mean, we will have,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so.
All right, and the next steps, you know, continue to monitor the FEMA portal and continue to stay in contact with the state's recovery officer. respond to any information requests they have.
Does the assistant recovery officer for Woodbury also intend to leave us
That's,
flat?
I would not speak for Danielle. Absolutely not. You would-
Okay.
you would-
Have you told her about your intentions?
Have I? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe in conversation, but, yeah. But,
I just forget that you said that.
but suffice to say, I'm not gonna leave until this is behind us.
Good.
Okay, I'm not gonna leave.
Okay, all right.
Not
Thank you.
until at least this is behind us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could not do that.
Okay.
Would not do that. So any questions? Anyone got 400,000 kicking around?
Thank you, Skip.
Yeah.
Next agenda item is, we have a select board report on the highway department staffing. We offered the position of road foreman to Peter, and he accepted the job. And with the intent that Peter would stay on, or Alfie would stay on in a part-time capacity as road commissioner, and then eventually Peter will take the reins after a training period. He will become road commissioner.
Unless somebody else shows up to be the road commissioner, but.
I think we've already agreed that that's how we're proceeding. Meanwhile, we have an advertisement for another driver, and that should be on our town website at this point. It's been advertised in 3 papers, and I think Diana put it on Front Porch Forum today as well. And Peter said he might have some suggestions too.
Did we get any
Yeah.
applications yet?
Sounds like
Not
he's got a
yet.
candidate in mind.
Good. He encouraged them to maybe put the application.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want that too.
Yeah, well, Peter's been on vacation, he's been
Oh,
on a trip
right,
all
right.
last week.
Yeah.
And because of the inclement weather in the south, he didn't get back to work today either.
Oh.
So
For that
I
purpose.
haven't been able to chat with him yet, but I'm expecting him tomorrow, and we can have that conversation. And see where he's at with his candidate and if there are any others.
And then there's one other announcement. I think Diana, we decided that it was important that we let folks know, and Diana can kind of explain what's going on with Swenson Granite Company, but to put it on the public record.
Yeah, we just thought it would be nice to let people know that there is a pending application for an Act 250 permit for a significant expansion up at the existing granite quarry that's going to involve expansion of some of their grout storage area, expansion of the quarry itself, which has to keep on expanding to somehow manage the pressure that comes from the middle of the earth. I don't know. Anyways, that stuff is not gonna be,
It's
that's,
from the weight of the granite
Right,
around the
yeah.
pit.
right, yeah.
that They have to,
That stuff is not gonna have a big impact on the public. It's hardly, visible from anywhere. But they're also planning to start crushing and bringing in a crusher for up to 45 days in the summer and selling up to 20,000 cubic yards of crushed granite, which is going to involve up to 50 additional loaded trucks per day. So that's pretty
Round trip.
significant.
100 one-way trips.
100 one-way trips,
Yeah.
50 loaded trips, 50 empty trips. Yeah, so the Board of Adjustment is planning to hear their application on the 18th of next week. And the Act 250 application has not been put on actual notice yet, but in the meantime, we want people to know that if they want to get concerned and involved, they could start learning about it. Somehow there's a lot of information that was sent in for the Board of Adjustment down at the town office that Robin has access to if anybody wants to learn more.
Do we know where that meeting will be held and are town
Yeah.
residents able to come to it?
Down at the town hall.
Town hall, okay.
It's a, yeah, it's a Board of Adjustment, what is it, a conditional use, no, not conditional use, non-conforming use application. The Board of Adjustment has to determine that no greater detriment to the community will result, so it's a pretty broad,
Representatives
Mandate.
from Swenson will be there.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And that's the letter that all the land.
you got one?
land-
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yep.
Well, 50 truck trips a day down the hill definitely change the village.
Actually, they're approved now for like 40, but they only use maybe 20 or so. I think they really.
I thought they were only approved for 14.
Okay, well,
I could be wrong about that.
I
but
was-
thought they were
yeah,
approved for
I've been-
14. They have 9. Let's
Yeah.
get-
Do you know if there's anything in Robin's information that has to do with noise pollution from that
Yes.
crusher?
Sure is.
Okay.
There is, they sent 3 sections, we haven't seen the whole Act 250 application.
Yeah.
They just sent 3 sections, one of which is traffic study, one of them is a noise study, and one of them is aesthetics.
Well, I can tell you, I went up there last summer when they were crushing, and I asked what the heck was going on, because you can hear it, and they can't load those trucks fully because they're overweight to begin with anyway. So everything they put in there rattles around, you hear them dumping, you hear the crusher. And I went up there and talked to Jeremy, is he the
Yeah.
manager up there? Yeah. Looked at him right in the eyeballs, I said, how long is this gonna go on? And he said, we can't run it during school. You know, the time frame before and after school, they can't run any trucks.
That's
He
it.
said it's not profitable for them to run extra trucks during that time because they have to sit there and wait. 45 minutes, I don't know, but if they add 50 more trucks and.
How are they gonna manage that?
How are they gonna well, he said it wasn't profitable. He said, we're only gonna do it during the summer. This is last year.
Oh, okay.
And now they're expanding like they say they're
Yeah,
going to,
okay.
and they want all those trucks.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, they're already overweight to begin with.
Mhm.
And I have a major concern with noise already. If a crusher is there year-round or 3/4 of the year-round, you know, it's definitely really.
Even if the crusher's only for 45 days, that doesn't mean that mountain of stuff that they crush is still gonna be hauled out during the construction season. And I don't know whether they're gonna be crushing things really fine or into, ditch-sized stone or some of each. I don't know, we'll ask that at the hearing, I guess. Because the bind stuff, it's, hopefully they cover those trucks, because that's nasty.
Well, they
Silicon.
say they're only gonna go north and west, but if they come, I don't think they would come over to the south-facing part of the mountain. Because there's an access there, that road goes up there. And the reason they expanded before and built that other road, as far as I know, is a semi went off there, off that one road that they had at that time.
Oh, really?
A few years ago.
Ah.
And there were semis lined up and down the Cabot Road, and I went out there, I go, what is going on? We can't get the truck out of there yet, so, yeah, it's major.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so they have an entrance and an exit, if you will, and they should have that for that purpose, but if it comes over the top of the mountain, which I don't think, according to the letter that was sent out, who knows?
They've already done that. You can see it when you go up by, I call it Pritchett's place up that hill.
Oh,
You can see where there used to be just a hillside, and now it's got a cut in it. Upset some people. But
Who's keeping
You
track
can-
of the amount of stone going out of there?
we have to trust them to do it. To trust,
There's
yeah,
a lot of those.
yeah.
yeah, it is.
Well, you can actually see it from Goodall Road, which
Yeah,
is
right
on the
there.
other side of Woodbury.
I'm not, yeah.
Right now, I think we're compensated at 6.5 cents a cubic foot.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was
Usable cubic foot.
usable.
Right,
And
yeah.
but that was negotiated in 2001.
Yeah, 10 years
Been
ago.
a long time. ago.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was
So-
on the select board when that got negotiated.
Probably time for.
We kept looking
That's
at that
changed.
too, one
Right.
or more. Brandy Smith.
But what
good stuff.
benefit does that have for the town? Will that reduce everyone's taxes? The money that comes into the town? This is major increase. They already have, what, 14 or 15, now 50 more? Where does that money go and
Well, I mean,
It's intended to be for repair of the road.
Yeah, I can
Originally.
answer that. It's for repair of the road, it pays for the salting of the paved road. And we used to put some of that money into a pavement fund. Obviously for,
yeah, we
to
stopped
pay for
doing
the
that.
repaving of that road, so it all goes into the town highway budget, two different funds.
And
now.
some of it just goes into the general highway budget.
so, if in fact people go, wow, this is so great, our taxes will be reduced. That is not where I think if people were in favor of it, that would help the town's taxes be reduced, but that's not.
But it would only help everybody's taxes be reduced, not just the
Yeah.
people who live on that road.
Yeah, absolutely, that's across the board. Is that
I think it's a zero-sum game. I think that the idea is that they beat the roads up to a certain extent, and then they're compensating the town for beating the roads up. But there's no, we're not in the black because of the quarry.
The town gets about $26,000, maybe up to $30,000 a year from Swenson Quarry
Okay,
for different.
and that would increase with
Yeah.
50
I would
trucks
hope-
like.
I would
We'd
hope
have
so.
to
Yeah.
renegotiate, 'cause
Now, are
it's-
the,
Yeah.
it's a different product.
Yeah.
now are the additional 50
It's a
trucks, are they
20-year-old
gonna be
rate.
year round? Are they just gonna be
What do you
seasonal?
pay?
Well, you said that it wasn't worth it for them to go during the school year because of the
If they
restrictions?
get to expand.
So maybe, it'll be mostly during the construction season,
I was just wondering about salt and sand in the rest of the road,
right,
from the pavement up through to the top of the hill.
right.
That's gonna cost some money.
No, they do that already.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
already
they keep
put
it.
extra sand because they're hauling the granite year round.
Yeah.
So we have to put extra sand, extra salt on the black truck portion.
But if you have
So-
50 more trucks, isn't that
Oh, it's gonna be much more.
shooshing it off the roads that much
Absolutely.
faster?
Absolutely, not to mention, you put 50 trucks versus 3 trucks a day, making several trips, whatever that is, those numbers are. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
well,
gonna,
but-
it's gonna wear our sand down even more.
We'll have 2 town trucks sitting right at the foot of the road, so you can sand ahead of them, salt ahead of them, going up the
Well,
road.
maybe they
Maybe they'll
should
buy
buy
us
their
a
own
new
salt
truck.
Maybe they should buy their own sand truck too, and then they could maintain their own, to their own liking.
I also
That's
wonder,
something to maybe explore, I don't know.
could you come up with a number of what it would cost to resurface that section of road that was redone when they made the new entrance? In case we need to ask for,
You mean from the blacktop up to the new
Right, right.
entrance?
yeah,
Look at that.
You talking like gravel resurface or
Yeah.
pavement?
No, gravel.
Had a
Gravel.
plan to
Yeah.
pave up
Yeah.
to-
Yeah, I can come up with a number.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I have to measure it and do the math.
That would be helpful.
Cause I think it was all
Talking to them.
nice and new when they
Yeah,
put that new entrance
I
in,
mean,
but
it's a
it's
pretty
getting.
wide road, it's a wider
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
road than most of our roads, because over the years, we keep adding, adding. And also for safety
Right.
factors, people are meeting big trucks, and it's better to have a little bit more
Room,
space.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I can work up a number for
thank
that.
you.
It's a nice segue into your report. Commissioner's report. We'll
Alright,
move along to that
Okay, sure.
item.
Don't really have a lot to report. We've been working on the trucks, getting safety inspections done, getting switched over for plowing and sanding. Grading has been suffering, and I've been getting some complaints, I don't know if anybody else is, but, we just can't grade. It's raining. It rains every day. And we really need 2 days without rain, one to grade it and then at least one for it to pack back down. If we try to grade in the rain, it's gonna be a mud mess, and we're gonna be hauling gravel to fix, we're just, can't.
Yep.
So, not to make excuses, but that's why we're not grading, because it's just so rainy right now.
The same reason I'm not raking my yard, so.
Right. Other than that, we've got, the new truck is in service, it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
set. I picked up new, running board, sideboards for it today. We'll get those installed probably Wednesday. And then that's all ready to go.
Has Peter had a chance to use it at all?
He is not.
Oh.
Because we got it the day before, he was only here 2 days after we
Okay,
got it, and
yeah.
he took off, so.
Which one?
But, we just got the 2024 truck back from the shop today. Went down for, again, safety inspection and oil changes and all that, so that's ready to go. All of our trucks are ready to go. We've been having a lot of issues, small issues with the little 550 lights and rust, and just, it's a little problem child.
That's the salt truck, right?
That's the salt truck.
Yeah.
But we're ready to go. We're ready for snow.
Maybe that'll keep
The
it.
trucks are ready for snow.
Yeah.
This guy is
The
not.
drivers are not.
But we're ready to go for that.
Alfie, in Lily's treasurer report, she talked about the low pro and the what we spent in maintenance on it this year.
Yes.
Close to 15 grand, where I think we budgeted like
$3,000.
$3,000.
Yes.
Is that just a problem truck? Is that unusual, or is that are we pretty? Is that what we should expect from a 2019?
I think that, and as I told Lily, as these trucks get older,
Yeah.
the maintenance level
Yeah.
should go up.
Yeah.
Because they're in the salt, they're working, in the wintertime, they
Yeah.
work every single day. And as they get older, I mean, you guys know what vehicles, your own personal vehicles, they don't last.
Right.
They're just not lasting like they used to. So we need to plan for that in our budgeting.
So if we're budgeting for, like, let's say next year for that same vehicle or that same machine, we're not going to budget 15 grand. And we
No,
shouldn't
and I don't
expect
think-
that would be.
I don't think
but-
that's something you should expect every year.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
this truck had some issues that we didn't know. There
Yeah.
was, and it's out of warranty, that's another thing.
Yeah.
I like to put a 7-year warranty on the trucks.
Yeah.
That way you've got 7 years of large costs coverage. And if we're not doing that, then we're gonna have large repair bills.
But that truck was built before you came along, right?
Yes, correct, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How about the loader? There was some kind of a,
The loader, I
Thing.
finally got scheduled for Thursday this week. The guy's coming and he's gotta do a flow test,
oh, yeah.
to see what's going on in the pump. There's something that's not hydraulic pressure,
Huh.
so that's the next step. They wanted to come last week, but the schedule just didn't work out. So I finally got it narrowed down for Thursday this week. He's coming to do that test, which is quite elaborate. He's gotta lift the whole cab up, which obviously he's gotta unhook everything and just to get to the pump to do this flow test. And that'll tell us what it's gonna take, if it's a new pump or if it's just a clogged filter somewhere or something, or just what. We have to do that test in order to know what's going on. So that's scheduled. Depending after Thursday, we should know better about how long the loader's gonna be down, if it is. I think at any rate, we're gonna have to rent one, because it's the time of year to load trucks for sanding and salting. So we can't be without a loader. We've got money in the budget for that, for rental. I think that's, hopefully it won't be too long, might be 2 weeks, might be 3 weeks, but, I'll keep you posted on that.
You get that from Anderson, or?
It'll come from, yeah, most likely if they have one, available, cause it's literally just down the road for us. So it'll be cheaper for the trucking. In fact, we could go down and drive it home here for that matter if we had to. But at any rate, we have to have a loader.
Yeah, now you got your new trailer.
We could put it on the trailer. There's a chance of that. The height is the issue there.
Oh, really?
Because loaders are pretty high to begin with, and then you put them on top of a trailer, it adds 3 feet or so. Road height is 13.6. You can't
No
go over
kidding.
that.
Oh, interesting.
So we can look at that, for
Yeah.
sure. So that would save us money if we can get it on a trailer legally, then we will.
Huh. So really, otherwise you would drive it on the road?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah, a loader, they'll go 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an
I
hour.
love coming up behind those,
Well,
since I only go 25 anyway.
yeah, right. So that's sort of what I got. Can't think of anything else unless there are specific questions about roads. Michael and I are working on a grant application, for next year, or to be installed next year. It sounded like he got it in.
Got submitted on
So,
time, so.
Yeah, so we're just plugging away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And then we also, it's on the agenda, but the curb cut request we've already signed at the beginning of the meeting. So it's all done.
It's all done.
Done, signed.
A-okay? So
Yeah.
my next step is to go see the zoning board?
You want a permit?
Sure.
He's a zoning administrator.
He's Mr. Administrator, could I set up an appointment?
You're gonna build it this year?
What, yeah?
You're gonna build it before snow?
So, we've got a couple other updates and other business. We can approve bills and payroll orders later. Personnel policy, I went over it, read it, had a couple questions that, we can get into maybe when Liz is here, and we can put it on an agenda.
Yeah, I didn't.
But mostly like, they're pretty straightforward questions about why certain things are in there.
Yeah, very quiet, especially.
You wanna give me the gist of some of them, I can do some research?
I think you probably have the answer.
Okay.
But I didn't get into the suggestion about, we haven't as a board gotten into the suggestions about, establishing hours, Michael's suggestion, for treasurers and clerks. Or a process by which, proration and or benefits needs to be adjusted. So we haven't gotten into that, but, let me see if I can find my notes here.
Especially if a deer should walk through and someone see it. A wildlife code, some renegade deer goes
I
walking
didn't
through
really look into this.
300 acres.
Okay, we can do it, but on page 7 under public records, it says that it's like specifically has road crew member there.
Okay,
And I think that it probably should be more general, but I don't know that for sure.
okay.
I would leave that up to you and Michael to figure that out. And then under paid leave time, I feel like
Intimidate documents.
that last paragraph under paid leave time, I just want maybe, and now's not the time, but maybe to
You have to send.
go through that and figure out,
and send the same
maybe just have some explanation about how that all works.
Okay.
Yeah.
program delivery manager.
Leave of absence, I have a question. I did this a couple days ago, so I don't,
So you have to
my notes
train everyone.
are meaningless to me now but under section 26, leave of absence without pay, I ask, why is this called out?
She's gonna take over.
For not applying to,
They might last 3 months.
Request to take unpaid leave from employment for the purpose of attending town meeting must be made at least 7 days prior to the date of the town meeting. Such leave will be granted, provided that it does not cause an interruption to the essential operation of town government. I just wondered why that was specifically called out.
Me too. See, town meeting is a holiday for us.
Yeah, I guess maybe for folks that don't live in town but work in town, that could be an issue, but maybe it's something we can draft or resolve, or,
Next time.
in my opinion, I think people should be given the day off, their town meeting day off.
Well, she
I
said
think it
that
should
it's
be.
already a holiday.
Yeah.
It's already a
Oh,
holiday for us.
for everybody.
For everybody, that's why I don't understand why it's there.
Oh, yeah.
Some road crew members in the past have lived in Woodbury
But I think
and
that,
have to work. If there's a snowstorm,
Right, I mean, that's understandable, but if it's not a snowstorm, why do they have to ask for the holiday off? Well, it's a holiday for us.
The only thing that I could think maybe why it's in here, perhaps it's a statute or something that's recommended by VLCT of some sort, but I don't know.
Right.
That's my biggest guess there.
It's probably something that, got in there during one of those many reviews that we went back and
Yeah.
forth with.
basically,
VLCT.
that's all I had for,
Okay.
but, we can put it on another, as a future agenda item.
Also in that 26, it says if leave of absence without pay is granted, leave time will not be accumulated during the time off. That doesn't apply to us either because we get all of our time up front.
Right. And that really only applies for people who are working more than
Last
40
paragraph of
hours.
26.
Doesn't, question? Okay.
Another one of those things that just will keep coming up on the agenda.
There's a copy for you.
What's it? Okay.
What's this?
I did say I'd read it. It's only like 10 pages.
Yeah, it's not.
So the only other agenda item there is about that $10,000.
I wanna go over that again, but since
Okay.
Lizzie's not here and she was one of the ones that voted against it, I just would
Yeah.
wait.
Well, and I wonder, yeah, we
I
can,
did-
we can put it
yeah.
on, we can put it
Yeah,
on
I
the
don't know,
next
I
agenda.
wasn't prepared for all the pushback on that, and so I didn't have my, an argument or explanation in place, but since then I've looked into it some more and
Thank you.
You ready to make a case?
yeah,
All right. We'll
Next
put it on
time.
the agenda for
Next
future
time.
items.
and I don't want
And then
that
I
money to be
guess,
lost.
Diana, unless you have objections, we can approve bills and payroll orders off camera.
Okay,
So we would just make a motion to adjourn, I think.
okay, I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right. Any objections, any discussion?
I'd like to
Hearing-
stay here until 8.
Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
We adjourn at 7:48. That's not bad.
nope, not bad at all.
That's pretty good.
For a loaded agenda.